Welcome back to another episode of the Art Inside the Craft podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Glazier, and this is episode number 15. Today's guest, Chris Roberts, is really blowing up the classic rock and roll and cowboy hippie vibe and gives me a callback feeling to bands like Delaney and Bonnie, The Band, and some heavy Joe Cocker. I spoke to Chris in between his first EP, Red Feather, and his current EP called Lost and Found, and features his cover of the Sammy John song Chevy Van. We talked about his start as a musician, how he ended up in Joshua Tree during the pandemic, and his drive to write a ton of great songs and get more of his music heard. Let's take a listen to that episode right now. Just for people listening to the podcast, give me a little bit of background on how you started in music and kind of what happened that got you to the point of recording the first album.
Okay, sure. Well, really, it's just kind of late in the game. Did not play music growing up at all. I didn't buy my first guitar until I was 21 years old, and I didn't know any chords really. I learned a few chords, and I just always kind of kept it around and was more of a campfire type guitar player. And it seemed to kind of like my voice. And then after I moved up to Colorado and started the hat company, and that started being successful, and I hired more employees, I mean, really, I just had the guitars up on the wall there, and I would sit most every day and just kind of watch the shop. And, you know, when they needed me to be the boss, I would tell them and show them how to do stuff. But I really just sat there and played guitar, and they enjoyed it. And then we shot a commercial, a Visa commercial there at the shop for Mark McMorris and a Canadian snowboarder.
Oh, wow. Cool.
It was like an X Games promotion, or during the X Games and all that, but it was only aired in Canada, but it was a big thing over there. We got a lot of business from it. But some of the guys came back to my house after the shoot, and you know, after a few drinks and the campfire's rolling, I just did my thing like I do. I started playing the guitar, and one of the guys that was involved in that commercial just asked me, he's like, what are you doing with that? And I just, you know, said that, what are you talking about? And it really progressed. He was like, you got to do something. He didn't know anything about music. And anyway, it kind of started from there. And then I played a few gigs here and there, and people kept saying that they liked how I sounded. And then the first song I ever wrote was not long after that, or no, it was before that. He said, you got anything original? And I said, well, I wrote this song the other day. And I played that, and it just things just kind of went from there. And then fortunately enough, I was playing just like a singer-songwriter deal at this little bar in Colorado, and a dear friend of mine that actually works at the shop making hats brought my manager, Corey Lashever. Well, now my manager, I didn't know him then, but brought him to the show, and you know, he's been in the music business a long time, and it's been quite successful. So he didn't try and say anything, but she told me about whatever, and I just asked if I could have lunch with him maybe, and he was into it. We had lunch, and I guess he thought that I had something going on too, and he unretired. he was kind of retired, and thought, I remember him saying, well, I guess I'm getting back in the business. So
that's cool though.
And then from there it's just been going I guess, and the songs keep coming out, and I'm learning. I'm on the job training.
It's really incredible. Like in the bio that I was reading, it said that you guys kind of went into the studio for this EP once COVID kind of shut everything down, and you guys had some time. So did you have a chance to, like, have you been playing out and playing different venues and stuff before that?
The EP was not designed to go into the studio. That happened. We were on our first tour, and had played like five shows or something, and
Hmm.
you could just see, and everything was happening like before our eyes. We're like, what is going on? And then we decided, we were somewhere in Texas, and it was like, okay, this is our, we're already here. We're going to play tonight. And then we have to cancel everything. So that last night, yeah, there was one guy, old Steve. I'm not sure Steve's last name, but Steve has tickets for life to any show. But he came out. He was the only guy there.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, we have big stage with the smoke pouring out and all that stuff, and Steve was there with his earplugs in, front row, double fisting beers, and the rest of the joint is sanitized. While I'm trying to play and sing, they are,
Oh my
the whole
gosh.
band's there. We put on a show for one guy while they were in mask and gloves sanitizing the whole venue, like every
Wow.
seat and chair we were playing. And so we didn't. Basically, Corey and I had a meeting of the mind saying, what do we do? Because we're supposed to be on a tour for like another month, and we didn't know where to go. And it was like, we should just quarantine ourselves. And so I asked Corey, I said, can you find us a place like in California, like out in the desert, that is got a studio and a house, and we can just like live there and, well, I don't know, see what happens. And he did it really quick, and we found Skylab Studios out there in Joshua Tree, and they were just getting things going. They were still, putting up, framing on their plate. The studio was getting built. But either way, it ended up being a great thing. And then we just had to, every day, I came out and said, hey, what do you think about this? Or, somebody, it was just always an idea. I just tried to keep the train moving of like, let's just, hence the first song that we did was Get Down,
Oh, cool.
which refers to, we have to get on with the get down, like
Yeah.
it was it was that it's true. They were tinking around getting their stuff, in the big room, getting their sound together, and nobody had anything, and I was sitting in the vocal booth staring out the window, and I did that most days. And I heard something, and I saw a jackrabbit hopping across the desert, and I felt just like that jackrabbit. So that's the first line of that song is, I'm a jackrabbit in the desert.
Uh, that's
and,
cool.
and I might have on the way from Texas to California, it's a 2-day trip, and I was pretty wiped and weirded out. So I might have, taken some sleeping pills to calm myself out for 2 days. So that's the other line. That's the next line. I'm a jackrabbit in the desert like a man on too many pills. And
Ah,
there's lost souls all around, wandering around the hills. It's like that's what humans looked like and felt like then. So
yeah,
just
that's
started
cool.
writing every day, and how that whole album was done. It was done on the fly.
Wow. That's really incredible because when I listen to that thing, I mean, you guys have like a sound that's it's just such a cool mix of everything, and it's like I can't believe that's your first album. You know what I mean? Like that's that's a kind of album most people would aspire to at some point to get to, and it's like, man, you guys are coming out of the gate just swinging for the fences. You know?
Well, I don't know. Thank you. I mean, I did record some stuff before that. I mean, like that's how I met the guys, because the guys, I recorded stuff all by myself with, just studio musicians
Mm.
out in Nashville, and they were all just songs that I had to do all by myself. There wasn't a producer, nothing, and I'm just like, I think that sounds okay. Let's do that. Uh, but those are the songs that we were playing out on the road that the guys, they just learned after we had auditions out in LA before we headed for the tour. And then the guys and I did not know each other very long, but we certainly hit it off. And then being trapped together during the beginning of COVID certainly bonded us. And it's just we really like each other. I know most bands, I hear these horror stories of all these guys that are in bands that just, they're like, oh, I can't stand in, blah, blah, but we, have to do this. And
Yeah.
that just sounds like, I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that.
Yeah, it
That's
sounds
not fun.
terrible.
That sounds terrible. I don't want to be stuck on a bus with anybody that I don't like, uh, so yeah, it's not. And yeah, we love playing music, and we like doing it together. And then when we're done playing music, we like to go get a beer together and hang out
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
all that. So and it's really yeah. Either way, getting stuck together and going through that, I think was a very fast bonding experience. You know.
Yeah, that's great because, like I said, that album really sounds. I mean, you guys sound like a band that's been playing together for 10 years, so that comes across well.
uh, yeah, yeah. It's funny. I think that they're they're such great musicians, and they know they know me. They know what the sound that I think we all agree kind of on the sound. What we like and what sounds cool, and then we're still all very open minded. We don't. I don't like being pigeonholed into, oh, what you play? Oh, you're a country artist. I'm like, no, I'm not. What do you mean? I've got
Right.
a hair down to my ass and a beard. Like yes. Do I wear boots? Yes. And do I make hats? Yes. But we can play. Did I grow up in Texas? Yes. But whatever. We play all kinds of. It's whatever the sound is. Whatever I think music should be. Whatever's good. Does it sound good? Is it cool? That's it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
I guess
that.
my voice has a little bit of Southern in it, but that's me.
Yeah. Yeah, but it all adds to the overall effect, and it's just really really great music. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Um, so what's the plan then? I guess.
Right now, we are doing this. We're here in LA, and we're doing a full another album that I'm really excited about. That
Oh,
sounds
great.
like us. That we've come into our it's sound. Even though our songs are different, some songs it's like, really, can we put that sound on the same album? Is that okay? And
Yeah,
everybody's like,
definitely.
yeah, it doesn't matter. It still sound like you'll hear it. You'll still know it's us. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah,
Like even though
definitely.
it's maybe one song sounds a little, got a country kind of beat, to it a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's back to just rock and roll and whatever. And I think that's us. Um, but we're gonna do that. We're concentrating on being here, doing this album, and then hopefully uh, things start to roll out, and we get to get back out there, because that's where I want to be. I want to be back on the road with the guys playing, you know,
Right.
um, yeah,
Cool.
interacting with people.
And so what's the with the new album that you're working on, is there like a deadline of when you need to or want to get it out, or just kind of work on it until you guys feel it's done and then go from there?
Yeah, no, that's the cool thing is we don't have a deadline. We still have a bunch of songs that nobody's heard, that from the first thing.
Yeah.
Um, so we just it's just we have the opportunity to do it now. We're fortunate enough to where it's the first time I've ever worked with a producer, and not to mention just a producer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Keith Nelson,
Hmm.
but he's quite a producer and has got a few hits under his belt.
Great.
Um, so the doors are starting to open, and then I think they have a plan of how they want to kind of roll us out there, because we're ready to get back on the big stage and
Yeah.
have some fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's great. I'm really looking forward to see what's coming next. I mean, I'm honestly, I've been spinning your record, or the music on my player pretty much everywhere I go, because it's just so catchy and so cool.
Oh,
So man, I just spin it over and over. I'm like, I wish there was about 8 more songs on this, but I'll be patient and wait.
I know. I guess that's part of the marketing thing. Is I am too. I'm like, wait, just put the record out. Let's put some stuff out. And they're like, whoa, pull the reins back, buddy. We gotta, people need to know a little bit about you before you just give them some songs, because I guess that doesn't work. But I'm not about doing that. But I guess that's why you have people that do it for you, so they can eventually, hopefully, build you up and make you a little bit of cash in the meantime.
Right. Yeah. For sure. Well, awesome. That's great. I'll let you get back to recording some more music. Hopefully, get some more people looking at you and what you're doing, because it's incredible music, man.
Oh man, I appreciate it, and yeah, that's all I need. If you can make some people dig it up, then I guess the faster I'll write, so get to put songs out, because it's getting a little ridiculous. We got too many songs that no people haven't heard.
Thanks again to Chris Roberts for literally pausing from recording to tell us about his music and letting us know that there will be no shortage of his music in the near future. Check out his website in the podcast description to follow along with current and upcoming music, as well as his tour, which is in full effect at the airing of this podcast. Also check out his hat company, Aspen Hatter, and see another of his creative outlets. Follow along with my photography at Black Cat Bone Productions on Instagram, and stay tuned for a ton of great episodes in the works. I want to take the time to thank each and every one of you that listen to these episodes. It really means the world to me. Do me a favor and subscribe so you're always up to date on the most current episodes, and I will see you all down the road.